Training every day to build muscle is like watering a plant every hour thinking it'll grow faster. It won't. It'll drown. And that's exactly what's happening to the guy in the gym 7 days a week. Losing to the guy who shows up 3 times and actually lets his body finish the job. Not slightly losing, actually behind, month after month, while doing more than double the work. That's not bad luck. That's biology working exactly the way it's supposed to. There's one number buried in the recovery research that explains this completely, and once you know it, you'll never look at no days off the same way again. Rest days aren't a break from training. They're the second half of it. Skip them, and you're not being disciplined. You're sabotaging the exact result you're chasing. Here's the number, why it matters, and how to actually use it. Here's the part almost nobody explains, right? When you train, you're not building muscle. You're damaging it. Micro tears form in the fiber. That's the whole point of the workout. It's supposed to hurt the tissue just enough to trigger a rebuild. But the rebuilding doesn't happen in the gym. It happens after. While you're sitting on the couch scrolling your phone, while you're asleep, while you're doing absolutely nothing that would make it onto your Instagram story. Muscle protein synthesis, the actual construction process, peaks around 24 hours after a hard session and tapers off by 48 hours. That's your window. If you train the same muscle again before that window closes, you're not adding progress. You're interrupting a job that isn't finished yet. Train back-to-back days with no recovery. And it's like tearing down scaffolding halfway through construction and calling it motivation. Or texting someone back mid-sentence, the job just doesn't get finished. Cortisol. Training stresses your body, that's fine in small doses. But skip recovery, and cortisol stays elevated. And elevated cortisol does the opposite of what you signed up for. It breaks muscle down and mutes the hormones that build it back up. So the no days off guy isn't grinding. He's training in a hormone environment that's working against him. Basically paying for a gym membership to fight himself. You've seen the guy at the gym every single day, sweating through his shirt, timing nothing, resting nothing, calling it intensity. Meanwhile, you're in 3 days a week, taking your 2 to 3 minutes between sets. Walking out feeling like you didn't even go hard, except you did. You just didn't confuse exhaustion with progress. That soreness you're both chasing? That's not a growth signal, it's inflammation your body doing cleanup on the damage. Marathon runners are wrecked for a week after a race. They don't come back with bigger legs. Soreness tells you training happened. It doesn't tell you muscle is being built. Here's where it gets worse for the daily grind guy. One night of poor sleep can reduce muscle protein synthesis by close to 20%. Not a bad week, one night. Train hard, then scroll your phone until 1 a.m. telling yourself 5 more minutes. And you basically paid for construction and told the crew to go home early. Sleep isn't a lifestyle tip. It's the mechanism. Muscle grows at 2 a.m., not at 2 p.m. under the bar. So here's the actual plan. If you want results instead of burnout. 1. Train each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week, not daily. That's the sweet spot backed by recovery research, not 7-day grind culture. 2. Rest 48 hours minimum before hitting the same muscle group again. That's your construction window. Let it finish. 3. Sleep 7 to 8 hours, non-negotiable. This is where the actual building happens, not the gym. 4. Stop chasing soreness as your metric. Chase progressive overload, harder variations, slower reps, more control, not just more. 5. If you're sore for 4 days straight and still training that same muscle, you're not being hardcore, you're interrupting your own progress. So which one actually takes more discipline? Training every single day, chasing exhaustion, and burning out in 3 months? Or training 3 days a week, resting on purpose, and still being consistent a year from now? Most people pick the first one because it feels harder in the moment. But the second one is the one that actually works, and staying consistent when everyone around you is grinding themselves into the ground, that's the real discipline. Rest isn't the reward for training hard. It's part of the training. And if this made you rethink your training split, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of thing we break down every week.